Honestly, I expected more from you this year.
Oh, screw that. I had higher expectations for you. How about that?
Man, same. I thought we could have got to the finals with a little puck luck.
Unrelenting optimism.
Yeah. Unrelenting optimism.
So now what?
Well, we cheer against the teams that we hate, and we drink, really.
That seems not bad, actually.
Right?
I mean, definitely less stressful.
Oh, yeah, way less stressful. Think about the strain that puts on your heart. Imagine that you've given up a decade of your lifespan because you watch playoff hockey.
Worth it.
Oh, God, it's so worth it. Low quality fans of a high quality Bruins team. That's a well-rested voice right there. Do you hear that? Do you hear that inflection? The emphasis? Hey guys, does it feel like I've been gone for a month? Because it feels like I've been gone for a month from my side. We're out of the playoffs. I needed to start acting like it. I was trying to put it off, and I realized that that was cheap, that was unfair, and I needed to do what had to be done. Boy, do my looks take a hit without facial hair. My God. We are, I think I said this last year, but it is not a fortunate case for this guy. We are going over season grades. Before we even start, we are not grading Cassidy and Sweeney in this video. We are doing that in the next video. I tried to kind of think out what I was going to say about Sweeney, and on my entire 24-minute drive home from work, I basically said what I would have said on camera. I talked to myself in the car. It's fine. And I don't want to add 24 minutes to this video. So we're going over the player grades. Before we really get started, like, comment, subscribe, nailed it. A lot of people are asking, hey, who are you rooting for to win the cup? No, I haven't put it in a place where everyone can see it. So I got a quick list here. Number 1, Flames. Lucci getting another one would be cool. I kind of dig them. I don't have any reason to hate them. Number 2 is the Avs. I like the Avalanche as a kid. Number 3 is the Oilers. McDavid, Number 4 is the Panthers. Oops. Number 5 is the Canes, just because they win out against the teams below them. Number 6 is the Rangers, because I don't like them. Then it's the Lightning. Then it's the Blues. I think a lot of you would kind of go, yeah, I can see it. So I figured I'd just list that out for you. We're going to go over the season grades for the players. Now, we have a couple rules that we're going to set up right now so there's no confusion. First thing, we are grading on a curve of expectations dictated by reality. And by reality, I mean me. What this means is Charlie Coyle is expected to be a third-line center. I think the second-line center has flown the coop a long time ago. Going into the season, we thought there might be a chance, but I am grading him off of my expectations of his performance coming into this year as a third-line center. His contract will not be held against him. That is a Sweeney discussion. It's not supposed to dictate what the expectations of a player are if you actually look at, reality. So that is how that grading is working out. It's based off of expectations of the season. Also, that means a guy like Lazar and a guy like Marchand, different expectations. They're not going to be graded on the same scale. That makes sense. I think that makes sense. We are not grading guys like Steen, Ashawn, McLaughlin, guys that either weren't on the team to even start the year or were not expected to do anything. We could just imagine all those grades would be A because they outperformed whatever the heck we thought they were going to do. There are going to be some grades on some prospects, guys that we expected to make a jump or potentially get some games that did or did not. This is not meant to be a pile-on session. I'm trying to do this with as little emotional bias as possible. This is about their on-ice play. Sometimes their off-ice stuff will come into play in the grade, but that's because it affected expectations. This was a very controversial video last year, and we've quadrupled in viewer size since then. Put your opinions below, be respectful, but guys, this is meant to create healthy debate. So feel free to put what you disagree with below. I'm not taking any of it personally, neither should you. The format's going to be simple enough. We're basically going to go line by line, and then we're going to hit a couple of the, 13th, 14th, 15th forwards, then defensive pairings, and then again, 7th, 8th, 9th, and then goalies. Very simple. Easy peasy. And of course, that means we're starting with our Bergeron line. Marchand, Bergeron, Pastrnak. Yes, I'm including Pastrnak. Just feels right with him starting the season and ending the season there. Marchand, he had 80 points in 70 games played, along with 11 points in 7 games played in the playoffs. You would think this would be a clear A. The guy was the heart and soul of our team. His season numbers are good. Great player. All that good stuff. I'm going to give him a B+. It always felt like we talked about what was hampering him, what injury he was dealing with, and he was always a step below his capabilities. I think he had another level if he was fully healthy. Obviously, there's an excuse built in there, but I'd have a hard time giving him a full A, given the expectations I had for him going into the season. On the other hand, Bergeron, who was an absolute monster in the dot, is a shoo-in for his 5th Selke, 65 points in 73 games played, 7 points in 7 playoff games, absolute leader of the team, and again, I said this last year, we expected more of a drop-off than what we got. The guy's a stud. Simple truth is, we expected some drop-off, we saw a little bit of it, but not enough for me to move him away from an A. Not quite an A+. He would have to be a point-per-game guy for me to go to A+, which seems really trivial. But hey, that's where we're at. Which brings us to Pastrnak. It's an A+. There should be no debate about this because the expectations for him should have been, who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? This guy went through an offseason, and again, we're talking about, this is one of the few things that off-ice stuff set the expectations. He went through a horrific offseason, going through something that you would wish on not even your worst enemy. I didn't know what we were going to get from him this year. If he had taken the year off, I wouldn't even have been mad. He gets an A+. He still ends up with 77 points in 72 games played, 6 points in 7 playoff games, 40 goals. What else do you want from him? Next full season he plays, when he's a little bit more like himself, I really want to see him hit the 50-goal mark. I can't begrudge a single thing he did this year. He was a monster. He was asked to drive that second line when we needed to spread around the scoring, and he did. A+. You probably don't have many debates with that, but the second line you might. We have Hall, Haula, and DeBrusk. I know that doesn't really make sense with DeBrusk there, but we're just doing it. Hall, 61 points in 81 games, 4 points in 7 games played in the playoffs. We could use the Haula excuse for him. He didn't have a true 2C, but he also got to play most of the year with Pastrnak. I honestly felt like he was never a true scoring threat throughout the season. I thought he was solid. He had a great pass. He didn't look to shoot enough. The guy was a C. C would be you perfectly met expectations. You were basically what I thought you would be. That's what a C is to me. A+ is you surpassed my expectations. You were incredible. You did everything you possibly could. F is, fuck man, what were you doing? He gets a C, and I think a lot of people actually will agree with that one. Haula, on the other hand, 44 points in 78 games played, decent numbers, 3 points in 7 games played in the playoffs. He was asked to line up on the second line as not a true center, or not a true second center. I have a hard time blowing as much smoke up his ass as a lot of people have. I like what Haula did. I was impressed by his second half of the season. His first half was atrocious. It was not good. And in the second half, he benefits from playing with Hall and Pastrnak. You get a B because you did exceed expectations. More points. You were able to keep up with that line during the regular season. You weren't enough in the playoffs, but asking you to be a 2C in the playoffs is probably unfair. I'm not giving him an A, though. Huge beneficiary of line mates. Never really drove the line himself. And when he was mixed in the bottom 6, those bottom 6 lines didn't really see a great pop. B, and I think that's fair. DeBrusk, how do you grade him? 42 points in 77 games played, 25 goals, 4 points in 7 playoff games. A guy that asks for a trade halfway through the season. Like, how do you grade that? Well, you go by the on-ice play. And once he got up to that top line, excellent. He was fantastic. He held his own on that line. He allowed you to keep Pastrnak down in the second. Tremendous, tremendous effort. Even though he had asked for a trade, he did everything you want him to. The reason I'm giving him a B+. Not an A, because again, I think he benefited quite a bit from those around him. And when he was not on that top line, we were having discussions about how do we get this guy off the team for something valuable. Remember before the trade deadline? We really wanted to move this guy. Also because of the trade request. But he gets a B+, because I think we need to respect the fact that he was kind of the only guy going to the front of the net during that Carolina series. Not the only guy, but the most consistent one there. And throughout the second half of the regular season, that was what we demanded. With Marchand and Bergeron, with their creativity, their clever passing and playmaking, DeBrusk had to be the guy taking the beating. And he did. And I thought he was serviceable in that role. So I'm going to be B+, because I'm really impressed with what he put together. Frederic, Coyle, Smith. Feel like we're going to get a lot of hot takes out of this one. But Frederic, we'll start here. 18 points in 60 games played, benched in the playoffs. Brutal end of the season. They tried to bring him back. He still got hunted by Carolina. Oddly enough, he's going to get a pretty good grade. This is more because of my expectations of him this season were for him to be not on the team by the time the trade deadline came around. He had a stretch of a few months that were tremendous with Coyle and Smith. He was learning his role. He's still not quite there. He still needs to figure out a lot of stuff. If you listen to the Short Shift pod, you heard a hell of a rant by me on what his exit interview looked like. I'm not super happy with Frederic right now, but given my expectations for him to not do jack shit, I'm going to give him a B on the season. Again, I think that's pretty fair. Coyle, on the other hand, 44 points in 82 games as a third-line center, absolutely drove that line, took responsibility for when the line wasn't performing well, and did not take any praise when it was. That guy gets an A. Tremendous, tremendous effort through the season. A healthy season. He was there in the playoffs, still fighting. I really have a hard time criticizing what he did. Is the contract too big? Yes. 100%. But who are we grading on the contract? Sweeney, not Coyle. And then the most disappointing outside of a guy we're going to name in a minute, 36 points in 74 games, 0 points in the playoffs, a decent point total for a third liner, but I kind of expected more. Smith just didn't have it, man. I like him on the team. I want to keep him on the team. I think he's a tremendously versatile player that can move up and down and mold in with any line. But he just did not have enough for me to go, yes, you've met expectations. I really wanted to see him be impactful through the whole season. I know he's streaky, but his streakiness took on a whole new level. And to get 0 points in that playoff series, where we desperately needed something from the bottom six, that's a killer. We're going to go with a C- for Smith. Not going to crucify him, but I'm not very happy. Fourth line, Foligno, Nosek, Lazar, Foligno. 13 points in 64 games played. You get an F. Fuck off. Awful, awful, awful. Just, man, really good defensively, but it's not enough to get you out of the F. You were a negative anytime we got past the fucking center line. Just an absolute negative. I'm out on Foligno. I'm out. Completely out. F. Nosek, I'm a little bummed here too. I had high expectations of Nosek. I'm going to be real about that. I'm trying to temper them a little bit with the grading. 17 points in 75 games played. I kind of thought he could go for 25. I know he's a fourth line guy, but he got bounced around the lineup quite a bit. He always tried to make an effort there. He gave his all, so I'm not dropping him that far. But I just had higher expectations for what he brought. He's going to get a C-. He was a monster in the dot when we needed him to be, and he busted his ass every shift. So I'm not dropping him far. I just really thought highly of him coming in. If you watch preseason videos, you can see what I was saying about him, about the scoring touch that he has, his ability to drive the net. Just didn't see a lot of it. And a lot of the bottom six, I'm wondering how much of that falls on Cassidy, where it was defense, defense, defense. I thought Nosek could have offered a lot more. He didn't do much in the playoffs either. C-. Lazar, on the other hand, he's going to get a B. 16 points in 70 games played. Never been about the points with Lazar. I just love him. I love his compete level. He's always makes people pay for grabbing the puck. He's fast on the forecheck. He gets in there. Usually when we had those praising moments for the fourth line, when they pinned a line into their zone, it was because Lazar got to the puck first. I'm going to give him a B. I don't even know how to get him an A. Maybe a little more than 16 points will get you there. But I really did love what he brought to this team. I hope we re-sign him, but I hope we re-sign him cheaply. We're going to cruise through a couple of these guys that are your 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th forwards. You have Bleed, 9 points in 32 games played. He's going to get a C. He was better than Foligno, but he never really forced the team's hand to put him in the lineup. I didn't have high expectations of him. He just exactly what we thought he would be. Wagner, A. Absolute trooper in the AHL. I wanted him to be in the AHL when the season started. There was never a reason to really bring him in, and he gave us a jump in the playoffs. That's the kind of response you want from a veteran guy like that who's, feeling a little scorned, I guess, but he's going to get an A because what else are you going to rank him? Come on, what? You knew what he was. You really expected him to make the team and stay up there for 82 games and be an impact guy in the playoffs? That's just not what Wagner is anymore. He did everything he could, though, and you got to respect that. Studnicka, F. Didn't make the team, man. And there was, veterans in front of you, but we were begging for something from that bottom six. You had to have a better year than you had. And then Lauko, who I might be a surprise to hear his name. There's other guys I guess I could have talked about here, but F. I really thought he was going to get some games this year. I thought he would get 20 games this year. Injuries, something. But he, not only did he not make the team at all, get a game, anything, he was really bad in Providence, too. So, F. Join Foligno in the basement and stud. Have fun down there, guys. That brings us to the defense. McAvoy, 56 points in 78 games played, 5 points in 6 playoffs games. Dude was a stud. He's going to get an A. He gets the plus when he's a finalist for the Norris. How about that? I know we had lows with McAvoy with, the turnovers, this, that. He was everywhere on the ice. I really can't expect more from him than what I got. He was awesome. Awesome all year. McAvoy gets the A. Lindholm, incomplete, but an A. He gets 10 games played, 5 points in 10 games. Very excited to watch him next year. Expectations for him were like, he's pretty good. No, he's really good. And I'm really excited about what we get. So he gets an incomplete, but an A. Grizz. This one was hard for me. 24 points in 73 games played, benched in the playoffs after 5 games. I don't know what to say, man. Underwhelming for portions of the season. Definitely underwhelming in the playoffs. The shoulder injury is a good excuse, but I had really high expectations for him this year, and all he really did was prove his haters, especially near the back half of the season, all he did was prove his haters right. He's going to get a D. I had higher expectations than what I got. Big time with him. Carlo, on the other hand, 15 points in 79 games played. Too much of a roller coaster, man. Maybe the most frustrating player to watch on the Bruins outside of Foligno, just because he never uses his size the way he should. Large pockets of this season were really good, and then the mistakes were just so glaring. So he's going to get a C because he had those highs that I thought he was capable of. He had the lows I thought he was capable of. He never landed on one side or the other. He kind of highs and lows even out in the middle. What do you think Forbort's grade is? Honestly, say it before I say it. Say it to me. Because 14 points in 76 games played, and he was atrocious for 3 months. It's awful. I wanted him off the team. The signing sucked. Contract sucks. Hated him. And by the end of the season, is he overpaid? Yeah, absolutely. But as a third pairing guy, yeah. He was excellent in the playoffs. Excellent on the penalty kill. He's going to get a B. I really, by the end of the season, went, you know what? He's not the problem. He really isn't. He's real solid back there. I'm not upset at what Forbort's bringing. He's going to have his bad moments. I'm going to shout about him. But as a third pairing guy, my expectations already low going into the season. Definitely give that guy a B. His partner, on the other hand, oh boy, 10 points in 60 games played. How do you grade this guy? Spent most of the season talking about how frustrating he was. Really liked his game in the playoffs as a third pairing guy. Fuck it. What did I say last year about him?
Who am I grading? Am I grading playoff Connor Clifton, who was just one of our best defensemen? Or am I grading regular season Connor Clifton, who I said negative things about in every single video for an entire season? I give regular season Connor Clifton a D. I give playoff Connor Clifton an A. How about that? Does that satisfy anybody? And no, don't put them together for a B-. No, those are two separate fucking people.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Our 7th D, Riley. He's going to get a D. 17 points in 70 games played, lowest points per game since 2018-19 season. I expected great things from this year. The creativity in the defensive zone, the ability to have that vision to send the puck into the slot, to get guys to chase you down the wall, to free up a man, just wasn't there. It was not on display this year. My criticism isn't even about the lack of points. It's just the lack of offensive play driving. He just wasn't the same guy we saw when we acquired him at the deadline last year. He wasn't. I was really excited for him this year, and he completely let me down. And on the defensive end, he got worse. And near the end of the season, the bad penalties, I mean, everything about it. Just, he deserves credit for coming into a playoff series, a really hard playoff series, and being pretty good. But season as a whole, sorry, man, you were not it this year. I'm really hoping for a big bounce back for Riley if he's still on this team. Brown did not complete. He had 6 games played. I don't know. Bye. I never really liked him. It made sense to trade for him, I guess. Just have a guy, the big body, if you need to bang bodies a little bit in the series. I don't know. Not much there. Zaboral! 10 games played before tearing his ACL or whatever the injury was. Fucking A, man. He looked like a top 4 guy before he went down. So I'm not going to grade him on the injury. I'm just going to say, hey, you got an A. Good for you. But I really hope he returns to form come this new season. Goalies! Swayman! B+. 2.41 goals allowed average in 41 games played. 914 save percentage. Playoffs, 2.63 goals allowed average with a 911 save percentage. He's a rookie. 41 games played. Really good. Had his ups and downs for sure, which you could expect from a rookie goaltender, but I thought his highs were really high. And jumping into a playoff series and playing the last 5 games and really giving him everything he got, yeah, I'm going to give him a B+. Doesn't quite make that A. You'd have to grab that starting position to get that A. But a B+, I think, is fair. Ullmark, on the other hand, 2.45 goals allowed average in 41 games played, 917 save percentage, 4.16 goals allowed average in the playoffs, 860 save percentage. There's no secret that the team played better in front of Swayman. I think anyone who's watched every single game through the season knew that. It was very clear that I don't know, they were more about clearing the pucks out. I'm sure this has something to do with the goalies as well, but he got more scoring support. Ullmark did not. But boy, did he get shellacked. Shellacked in those 2 games of the playoffs. And as the older guy who's coming into a new system, I didn't expect him to grab the starting gig right away, but by the end of the season, I expected him to have it. And he did not have it. So, never became the guy. He gets a C+ because he still was pretty good. I thought it would take him longer to kind of settle in, but he did it a month and a half into the season. So I'm okay with that. I'm expecting much bigger things from him next year, though. All right, guys, that does it for me. Like, comment, subscribe. These are your season grades. Put your opinion down below. I gotta know. Next video, next week, we're talking Cassidy, we're talking Sweeney, and we're probably talking a little more playoff stuff, get more in-depth on that. I know it feels like I'm not making a lot of videos right now. This is kind of my off-season, too. I'm going from 3 to 4 videos a week to 1. I kind of need it for a little while. But as news comes out, I'm going to try to jump on that stuff. So we're not going to have a big Bruins thing happen and 4 days later I come out with my scheduled video. I'm going to stay on top of it because, I mean, you know I am. Go Bees!